This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the Mayor.
Yo, it's ODB. This is Our Lifestyle podcast. We're getting ready to jump into the fresh episode, and we want to thank our title sponsors, which includes Custom Car Show Productions. They have 3 key events every year. Orange Beach Invasion every March in Orange Beach, Alabama. Scraping the Coast every June in Biloxi. And Bayou Showdown, which is every November in Slidell, Louisiana. We also want to thank Mini Truck Showdown Family, which includes their event, their flagship event, the first weekend in June 2022 in Las Vegas, Mini Truck Showdown. You can go on Facebook or Instagram for more information. They also have Kern County Showdown, which is going to be in Bakersfield, California, the first weekend in February 2022. Thank you so much. Support those that support the scene, and on to the episode. Yo, it's Our Lifestyle podcast episode, I think, 274, coming at you here from Florida, cold Florida, but it's going to warm up soon. And we got so much jam-packed episode this week for 274. Thanks for coming back and rocking with us. Let me see, do we got Mickety Mike, the Mayor? Is he in the house or is he out gallivanting?
Bro, I'm done gallivanting for the day, and I am in the Murray Mansion as we speak.
Dude, in it to win it. Mike, I just want to let everyone know, some of you are on your way to Kern County Showdown in Bakersfield, California. Dude, have a great weekend out there. I know it's continuing to build steam. And for those that are scoring at home, basically you got about 4 months until Mini Truck Showdown, which is going down in Vegas. You can find more information, Mini Truck Showdown, on Instagram and Facebook. And then, Mike, we can't forget, I know you were just talking to Lauren. They're so excited about Orange Beach Invasion. I know that the showgoers out there, they do have a choice, right? There's a West Coast show. There's another show in the South, we've talked about in the past, but I'll tell you what, Orange Beach Invasion, they've been with us a long time. Robbie, Lauren, and team are killing it. And I know Shannon, Mrs. Mayor, gets so excited about OBI, dude.
Bro, that is Shannon and my daughter Ashley's favorite show.
Top ropes, dude. I'm telling you what, there's a lot to go down, and the number one thing, it's the V word, Mike. Let's be honest. It's the venue.
Oh, I thought you said D word, and I was like, I can only imagine what this means.
Dude, if Hank's flying in, that whole kind of area is going to be like, dude, going crazy, right? Supposedly. But this episode 274, Mike, it's a good one. I don't want to say a lot, but Jeremy Bumpus from CarFix, right? The MotorTrend television show that many of us love. I've watched the show for a very long time. Jeremy joins us. Thanks so much to Jeremy. There's another tie-in that we'll talk about that's going to go down the same day. It just kind of happened. It worked out that way. So Jeremy Bumpus, if you've came here to listen, thank you so much. Consider following, subscribing. It's totally free. Our Lifestyle Podcast, episode 274. Now, Mike, I also am going to try to link up with Matt Weathers. Okay, Matt gallivanted down from the Pacific Northwest. You know Matt, and he gallivants everywhere. He's trying to go for your record apparently this year, and he went to the Grand National Roadster Show, dude.
Damn. Well, from what I hear, he took a few pictures as well, and I'm sure you'll be sharing some of those.
Dude, he went down the Van Nuys, I believe it was, and he was cruising. I think he ended up jumping in like a gang member's lowrider, and the guy was like trying to hit the switches and knock him out. Dude, wherever Matt Weathers goes, he has a good time, dude. Straight up and down.
Oh, always, bro. Always. And like you said, he's always on the go. If he's not working, he's at a show. For sure.
Yeah, tip of the cap, Matt Weathers, of course, on Instagram. If you type in his name, you're going to see it's Pig Rig 67. He's a hardcore car enthusiast, but, was one of our truck homies. And he always goes hard in the paint. Now, Mike, this episode overview is brought to you by Graphics Mafia. Ryan and Buddy are talking about going out to Lone Star Throwdown, and we love what they do. They could print stickers. They could take an old sticker like they did for me, Colorado Custom, an old, real old, 20-plus years. Josh Ellis had obtained a couple of these, and we sent them up to them. They scanned it. They reprinted them. GRAPHIXmafia.com. If you need stickers for your business, maybe some stuff for the front of your business, or just some stuff to give out. Hit them up, Graphics Mafia, Mike. Great people, right?
Oh, hell yeah, brother. And don't forget, hey, buddy, he will take care of all your sticker needs.
Yep, top ropes and everyone. Now, Mike, the last episode recap, man. Now, listen, last week we kind of hinted we're going to wait to this week. Basically, we had a two-parter, right? We had to leave a little bit of a cliffhanger. We had so much good feedback. What was cool is we started the second part of it about, maybe 2-3 minutes before to kind of keep it flowing. And Ronnie and Chaz, Negative Camber, longtime members, just super solid truck enthusiasts, great dudes overall. They're obviously connected through their wives from a family perspective, but hard pressed to find, two better dudes out there that are like family guys, but they love trucks, and they both equally have done some cool stuff. Chaz had a great run, but all I can say, Mike, without having to recap all of it, if you haven't listened, go back to 272, 273, really, really solid episodes, and I'm proud to be able to finally sit down with them. Sometimes it does take a little bit, Mike, but what happens? We make the shit happen, doggy.
Hey, that's what we do, brother. That's what we do.
And I was super thankful. I think I'd sent it to you the other day. Dawn had reached out and said, hey, I'm super thankful. I know Ronnie's son had reached out, and he said, hey, he loved the podcast, and, he's always heard, his dad talk about all the stuff and seen all the photos over the years. He was born in 98. So he was young when all that stuff happened, but he said he had a great time listening and really appreciate the good word, because I joked with him when I responded back that it does make me feel old, because oftentimes we've had a lot of the children of our guests reach out. But I told him what's most important is that we can make some of those connections, and we can also, help further the scene by making sure some of these epic stories of, not just the stories of the show, but the stories of the individuals, how they contributed, and how many are still contributing to the scene, man. That's what it's all about. Oh,
absolutely, man. And I think the fact that when, a kid, reaches out to you, and, that's huge, man. That means a lot. And that just, to me, is just keeps ensuring what a great job that you are doing as a host, and you just keep getting better and better and better as we go along here. Here we're at 274. Who would ever thought that would ever have happened?
Yeah, and I know you and I talked recently. We're thinking 300. We pull the plug. You know what I mean? And not to be, not to overshadow anything. I mean, that's only 25 away. So we got to kind of see, Mike. We really do appreciate the good word. The only thing I'm worried about is in the future, not if, but when Hank's, maybe oldest starts reaching out saying, hey, my dad's Hank, I appreciate all the stories. Like, I'd hate for them to hear some of the stuff and go back and listen, but it's all out there, Mike. I mean, it is,
Bro, it is definitely out there, and there's no,
turning back.
We said it, man. There's definitely no turning back for sure.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want someone to listen to some of this and, try to go state's evidence, because, Hank's navigating those treacherous waters everywhere he goes, man. Every state, dude. He's got stuff going on, but, Hammered Hank from Hammered Weekend Wear, we know that, he'll weather the storm like he always does, You remember that movie in the 90s? Wasn't it Mark Wahlberg, and it was called, like, Perfect Storm? Hank's the only one that could stand on the front of that boat like a Titanic deal and weather that kind of storm. He's been through it before.
Oh, dude. And he'll do it again and again and again and again. So, yeah, he keeps fighting. And no matter what storm, no matter how bad, Hank always comes out on top.
Victorious. Exactly.
Victorious. Isn't that a Biggie song? Victorious.
Yeah. No, Notorious.
Oh, Notorious. My bad.
Dude, but you got to remix it.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Maybe Hank can remix it, and it can be, Victorious.
Dude, I love that, man. I think Hank's on board. He gets Diddy back in the studio, drops a jewel on him. Next thing you know, triple platinum. Dude, that's the way life goes with Hank.
You know it, brother.
So the last episode recap brought to you by our family over at Lone Star Throwdown. I did recently talk to Radar. He said he's been enjoying the podcast, so thanks so much to the OG. But I tell you what, Radar, Lonnie, these guys combined make a great team. Of course, they've got some folks behind them as well, and they always tip their cap to them. join us in less than a month. We're officially in February, and the last weekend this month, Mike, get over to Conroe, Texas. It's an amazing event. There's plenty of places to rent all throughout. I know Extenso's probably going to have their open house. There's some tend to forget. I looked it up last year. I didn't make it over, but you can drive over to Dallas if you really want to get some In-N-Out burger. I know Big Juice, he's been known to do that. We're just looking forward to Lone Star Throwdown. You can visit LoneStarThrowdown.com for more information. Of course, follow them on social media. Turn on post notifications via Instagram. Stay up to date with the biggest, baddest, potentially around Truck Show Anywhere LST. Right, Mike?
Bro, and don't forget, same group of guys and girls that put on LST, Lone Star Throwdown. Don't they do something else too that you might want to check out?
Do Garage Gear Clothing. And the cool thing is, not only do they have the clothing side of it, Mike, but they have TikTok on lock. They're doing the YouTube videos, Instagram. Lonnie gets out there. He goes to the shows. He hits the pavement hard. He's got plenty of cool rides to take out. Love that expo. He's always hustling and love what they do at Garage Gear. But Crystal, let's be honest, she's really pulling the puppet strings, and she's the one that kind of figured out that equation to figure out how to do the free shipping, because that was not easy to work out.
Dude, hands down, Crystal's got it down on lock. And make sure you guys check out GarageGearClothing.com. But also, for all you ladies out there, Garage Girl as well.
Yeah, they got it all on there. Check it out. GarageGearClothing, as Mike said.com. So, Mike, we're going to get spun out here to the general updates. I was going to say the garage updates. I mean, that's maybe what it could be. But general updates, not to get too crazy. I did obviously skirt around the whole football stuff. It is... I don't get disappointed when my team... okay, let me rephrase that. I do get a little disappointed if the team loses, but I quickly rebound. Back in the 90s, I saw some games where, Jerry Rice fumbled. We all know that. It was the year that they did away with instant replay. And, there have been some very tough losses over the years, right? The Eagles beating the Packers like the 4th and 27 that time. I mean, that shit just shouldn't happen. But, my dad used to say, rest in peace to Pops. He used to always say that's why they played the game. So obviously I can kind of rebound from a loss pretty quick because I'm like, look, man, it is what it is. I'm not out there playing. I mean, if I was, they would have lost by a lot more. Let's be honest, right? I mean, I can't be the armchair quarterback and calling the plays. I don't know. I can't do that. But the general updates, the key thing here is, Mike, even though there's that little bit of frustration sets in, I had to wake up at your show with the frustration, and then it quickly poofed away because I had all these badass trucks, NC, ST, Aftermath, RA, all these different clubs there. So that was cool. But if you fast forward and you kind of go, okay, a couple weeks go by, some teams that we thought would be in it aren't. Now you're at the Super Bowl with the Bungles, a.k.a. the Bengals. And, of course, you got the Rams, which just a year ago today when we're recording February 1st, Matt Stafford was signed, and I was never a fan of his because he was Detroit. But I say all that, Mike, because, listen, it is kind of refreshing to have some different teams in there. And it's the second year in a row that one of the teams, it's a long story, not the home team, because they're technically not the home team for the Super Bowl. That's a long story. But the Rams are playing in the Super Bowl, and that's their stadium. So that is kind of cool.
That is pretty freaking cool, but this would be the first time ever that the home team, like you said, it's not the home team. But anyways, if the Rams do win, that would be 2 years in a row that they would win, as the Buccaneers won last year in Tampa, because the Super Bowl is being played in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, I believe is what it's called.
Yep. Yeah, and the ironic thing is, I know a lot of like weird nuance, like rules and little things about the NFL because I've been watching it for so long. But I read the other day and it clicked, and I was like, man, if you would have asked me that 2 weeks ago, Stump the Schwami with Stump the ODBZ, something I learned this week, and I hate to admit it, is that I didn't realize that every year the NFL just basically alternates the quote home team. So like last year, it might have been, it was the NFC, I think. And then this year, technically the Rams aren't the home team in the Super Bowl, even though it's their stadium. I mean, let's be honest, they are the home team, but officially on paper they're not. The Bengals are technically the home team, so I don't really know what other than, I guess, the kickoff. Because the home team maybe can defer or whatever. Some of those little kind of behind the scene type things. But I did think that was ironic that they're technically they're playing in LA, but they're not the home team. So, anyways.
Yeah, because apparently when they were describing it the other day, is they can't necessarily call any team the home team because there is no home field advantage. But we both know there's obviously a home field advantage for the Rams.
The Rams. I know. You know who doesn't have a home field advantage? I don't feel bad for any of the Cowboy fans out there. We never talked about it when that lost. Like, they had that one play where, Jerry Jones had the old stadium where it had the hole in it, so the heavens could look down on their team. Come on, really? Then, we know they're not Cowboys fans, right? But then, two, even though the roof was closed, if I remember correctly, in that game recently, dude, the sun was in the guy's eye, so he jumps, and they show behind the receiver, he jumps to catch it, and it's like 2 feet the other way because he couldn't see. Because even though when the roof is closed, they've got that section where all the light comes in. And Boomer from CBS, of course, he commented and said, "Come on, really? Why would you build the stadium east and west like that and have the sun coming in?" Like, I don't know. But it just goes to show you, Jerry Jones, dude, that's a whole nother podcast, dude. You know what I mean? But
yep.
In all seriousness, anything else, generally that you got going on? I know you've been getting spun out with the mail, and you're probably already looking forward to like spring break, right? Because I know you and Mrs. Mayer, you guys don't stay home very much. You're constantly on the go.
Bro, this is going to be 2 weekends in a row that we're actually at home. So, bro, it's definitely nice to actually be home for, finishing catching up on some series on Netflix that we haven't seen in a while. So that's a good thing, and just chilling and just relaxing, So it's in talking about relaxing. Did we tell the Airhead Nation that Relaxing in the Park opened up their pre-registration? So if you're listening to this, stop what you're doing, go pre-register for Relaxing in the Park.
Yeah, and Mike says it wrong. He says relaxing. He's got it. I'm trying to help him get his street cred down. So, relax in, and then another in. So it's relaxin with an IN, and then another IN, and then thepark.com, Mike. So Relax in the Park is about 107 days away, but to your point, right, we heard you loud and clear that the pre-registration is open, which I think is fantastic. Relaxinthepark.com is where you can go. And, Mike, we've talked a little bit about this. I talked to Maze. I am taking that Friday off. I'm going to maybe fly up late Thursday, early Friday. I got to book the flight. I still have not done that, but I know I can get a good flight. And we're looking forward to going up to Relaxing in the Park in May.
But see, here was the plan. I said it wrong on purpose, so you would correct me, just so we'd get more airtime for Relax in the Park.
Exactly. Dude, Relaxing, good people, RA, of course, running this show. And I love what Tony at Asphalt Army does. He partners with them so well as one of the members there. He's got the Tahoe. We saw him down at your show, too, EBGD, Eastbound Get Down. But what was cool is when Tony gallivanted down, I told him, I said, hey, tip of the cap, I love the work that he does. And obviously we've had him on before, and he's talked about, his brand and things like that. But it's very cool to see that DJ Maze, who, again, does the free show on Twitch, DJ Maze Radio, not only is he gallivanting around and doing 12, 15, 16 shows this year, DJing and emceeing. Oh, by the way, he's also leading the crew up there in that Midwest area for this awesome show. So I'm looking forward to it. Dude, if I can get me another one of those sandwiches down there in that whole area where we went, dude, bro, that's why I'm going back. Look, the show's going to be cool, Mike. Let's be honest. But the sandwiches, dude, those things are fire, bro.
Bro, you are not lying there. But not only that, but at the same time, you know what? I don't know how I'm getting there yet, but I will see you there, brother, because I'll be coming up as well.
Yeah, we're super excited for it. So General updates again, Super Bowl 56 coming up. And, of course, Relaxing in the Park, St. Louis. We're looking forward to it. Please go out there if you can pre-register. Come on up. The cool thing is we're not going to be vending at the show. We're just going to be there to enjoy the city, STL, St. Louis. I went up in the Arch before. You've got, of course, the baseball stadium. You got so much to do. You got Anheuser-Busch there. We did the tour, me and Maze, and just a lot to do. So that's the general updates that we have for this week. And believe it or not, it's brought to you by our family at Southeast Mini Truck and Nats, also known as Mini Nats. And Mike, biggest, baddest mini truck show in the world. We recently said it. I love this show. Jason Bell and team do a great job. And Mike, although sometimes you hear feedback after a show, you kind of go, man, this is it went so well, but you always have people that have ideas like, hey, we could do this, we could do that. Tip of the cap to Jay Bell, because although Jay, I think, wanted to keep it a certain size, they went back to the drawing board and they said, well, hey, can we add in a few more, right? And they did. And I'm sure there's still some people that maybe didn't get in on it, but I want to give credit where credit's due. With Mini Nats, they did go back, they added some, and we're looking forward to that weekend up in Maggie Valley. And it's simple. Go on Instagram, type in Mini Nats, and you'll see the account will pop up under Mini Truckin Nats. And it's the 28th annual, April 22nd to 24th. We're super stoked, Mike.
Well, not only are we super stoked, but at the same time, we are going to be there. And we're going to have all our OLP merchandise on hand. And guys, don't forget our Saturday night party that we do. Us, Hammered Weekend Wear, Asphalt Army, OLP. We team up. Sean Rose, DJ Maze.
Yep.
Bro, we all come together and we put on one hell of a party and we feed you guys. All you guys got to do is just come support one of those three or all three of those companies, and you're going to get one of your tickets to come to that party. We're going to be doing that again. More information will be coming out about that. So just stay tuned.
Boot Scoot Bookie, right? I mean, I know you're talking about dance floors and lighting and all kinds of stuff. I know Hank's, dude, he apparently helped invent, like if you think Forrest Gump, all the stuff he did in the movie, Hank was at the forefront of breakdancing. Let's be honest, right? So, Hank's talking if we get a stage, maybe some cardboard boxes, we can do some. We'll have to see how all that comes together, Mike. I mean, listen, we only got a couple hours, right? But you never know, Mike.
Hey, bro, I'm down to do the Texas two-step if that, if that's what it takes. So let's see what happens. But Texas two-step, the book scoop boogie, whatever you want to call it. Hey, I'm down.
Dude, I love it, man. So next we got trivia with Mike, and dude, okay.
Okay, players, now it's time to get serious.
The moment has arrived. Now you got me all nervous and shit, man. Oh, man.
It's time to get serious, dude. You know what I mean? And my coworker told me Press Your Luck is back. I think it's on CBS, dude. We got to get you on there, bro. You've been preparing.
Bro.
Now, this is how bad. I hope that I haven't.
You got me nervous, bro. I don't know, man.
Dude,
I don't know.
Sweaty palms like Eminem on, you only get one shot. Do not let the chance to blow this opportunity. You know what I mean?
Whoa. Slow down, brother. Slow down.
I'm just thinking of, the Super Bowl halftime show. It's going to be off the hook. I talked about it recently. I mean, Dre's out there, dude. I mean, it's going to be epic. But so check this out. This American action adventure television program was produced by ABC, and it came out, you know what? I think I've asked this one before. It came out, November 4th, 81 to like around May 2nd, 86. It starred Lee Majors, Douglas Barr, Heather Thomas as Hollywood stunt performers who, moonlight as bounty hunters. Wait. I've asked this one before, right?
Bro, are you being serious? I mean, come on, Jay. I expect so much more of you. And for you to sit here and ask me the same question twice now, I'm really disappointed in you.
Okay. So look, I was trying to hook you up, and really I was trying to lead you down because we the Airhead Nation, they had hit me up and they go, hey, ask Mike one of the questions you've already asked him, because we want to see if he's really kind of lying and cheating, and the big piece of garbage that everybody says Mike is, and I defend you. I go, dude, Mike's a good dude. You know what I mean? And you always told me, like, when I go, if I accidentally call you the wrong name, you go, hey, I've been called worse.
Yeah, no, and I definitely appreciate you, telling people what a great guy I am and all. And I know you've been lying for a long time, and I definitely appreciate that. But at the same time, bro, the fall guy, come on, dog.
Okay. So
remember.
We got a little honesty there. Okay, so we'll give you that. We'll give you half a tick. So this one happened on So we're kind of in that football mode mindset. This one happened on January 28th, 1984. It was a superstar singer. Okay, this person's hair caught on fire. Okay, and it could have led to some of the crazy shit in this guy's life. And I know that although Pepsi's sponsoring the halftime show with Dre and all these guys for this, back in the day, Pepsi, they were filming, I think, a commercial, I think is what it was. And this superstar's hair caught on fire, okay? And I don't think it was officially, like some of the leaked images that kind of maybe came out in 2009. It basically showed that this guy's up there and he's performing and he doesn't even realize his hair is on fire, totally unaware that his hair is on fire, okay? Pepsi's involved. They're filming a commercial. It's at the Shrine Auditorium in L.A., January 27, 1984, okay? That's a little bit of pop culture history. That's all I can give you, because if I give you any more, it's really going to spin things out, Mike.
All right, so is this the reason why this guy went blind? Because his hair caught on fire while he was performing?
It could, dude. I think he was.
Okay, because he was famous for playing the piano.
Yep. I think so. I don't want to give you any more.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Was it all right? So give me a couple guesses here, because I think this guy, he had a daughter that was on reality TV, and was it Lionel Richie?
Biggie B. Richie like Lionel? No, that it's not Lionel Richie. We'll give you two more guesses.
All right,
but remember when Biggie said Biggie B. Richie like Lionel?
I think, isn't he like the one that was dancing across the ceiling or something like that?
I can't confirm or deny. You'd have to put your final answer in before I give you the whammy.
All right. So does this guy have brothers and sisters?
Oh, I can't confirm that, man. I mean, he could. He could. Okay.
Yeah,
it was a weird. It was. I think this guy led a weird life. That's all I can say, and not on like Hank's level. Like Hank's a different level.
Oh, so it's not Hank level. Oh shit. Well, see, I thought it was somebody. Actually, wait a minute. Does this guy have the same first name as me?
He could, but I can't confirm or deny.
Oh man. All right. Well, my final answer is, bro, I can't even believe you asked me this question. Guys, damn it, it's fucking Michael Jackson, for crying out loud. Jesus Christ,
dude, that was it. Even though I'm not a huge Kanye West fan, like he had that one song, I think, Through the Wire, when he goes like, I'm burning up like Pepsi did Michael or something. I was like, really, man, you're going to throw your boy out there like that? But dude, the video exists out there, and you almost kind of feel bad for him, because, he's out there dancing and he has no clue, dude. His hair is straight on fire, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like your truck. Your truck is gaining so much steam with all the mods and the chrome and the gold, the gold tips for the exhaust man, all that stuff. Dude, your truck shows up and like the fire guys show up to put you out, and you go, man, listen, man, I'm just balling out with the Mazda.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's no cookies and cream, but banana pudding isn't doing so bad,
Dude, I like it. But so there you go. That was, believe it or not, January 28th, 1984. So it kind of is around that time, and Pepsi, hopefully, let's be honest, I don't want to see anybody burned for this Super Bowl halftime show. I know it's not a commercial, but I did recently talk about they did that 3.5-minute promo video. F. Gary Gray directed it, and it was pretty cool to see the Impala Dragon in there. Even if it was CGI, man, I still think it was cool, Mike. So you got 2 tick marks this week, trivia with Mike, brought to you by All Time Low Magazine, atlmagazine.com. And Mike, here's the cool thing. I do want to talk soon about the new issue. I think we're going to be talking a lot more on next episode about the new All Time Low Magazine issue. It does feature Chad Luke's truck on the cover, and I'm super excited to announce, as they have through social media, that the pre-sale is now open for issue 29. atlmagazine.com. Believe me, it might be difficult times, Mike, but I can tell you this. It's on the rise, brother.
Dude, that thing is straight absolute fire. So make sure you guys go out and support All Time Low magazine, and you get that new magazine, because you definitely are not going to want to miss. I had somebody tell me that Michelle Boone is the one that shot that truck, and there's about 8 hours worth of pictures in there, and you don't want to miss it. Apparently, it came out pretty badass.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. Of course, the description at atlmagazine.com says we slipped, we staggered, but we're coming back with swagger, okay? There's no question that last year was full of difficult times, from COVID, losing friends, difficulties of builds, shoots, and more. The good news is, though, that we made it, and this is one packed full of content, and there's a kind of a further description there that kind of goes on to talk about Chad's Tacoma, and then, of course, the OG feature, Darren Gilbert with the Escort, and so much more. atlmagazine.com. So, Mike, from a scene update perspective, dude, I've been kind of taking up the lion's share of this. I mean, I've seen some stuff out there. I know I'm most excited about. I did mention last week, hey, a lot of you guys are going to be going to Blood Drag, have fun, but what we're most excited about is, Lone Star Throwdown. The following weekend, I know we're not talking about shows yet, right, because the key show updates are coming, but then we're going to be at Relaxin', right? So those are kind of where my mindset has been. You're going to hear on this episode from Jeremy that we're trying to work out to get the Maverick to Lone Star Throwdown, okay? So he's confirming on his end if he can kind of get around the production schedule that they have to get it out there. But, I mean, is there anything else that you've seen out there that you wanted to maybe cover?
Well, you said Relaxin' on the ranch, and you don't want to miss that, because you're going to have DJ ODB, and then, of course, the mayor is going to be doing a cornhole tournament like we've done the last 2 years. So, guys, come on out and definitely come out and support the Relaxed Florida guys, and come out and have a damn good time.
Yeah, I love hearing it. I want to give a tip of the cap to Eric that came down to your show from the Carolinas. He had the badass golf cart. He was parked under the pavilion, so thanks, Mike, for kind of working all that out. I know Kyle. I think I forgot to mention, Kyle came down. We had such a good time from Maryland. He's a great supporter. He was parked over in that region underneath the big area there at Destination Daytona. But Eric came out, and he had hinted that Golf Karting Magazine was going to have the feature, and sure enough, today news broke that it did get the cover. Want to give a tip of the cap to Brandon Burrell. I know he shot it. I talked to Brandon this week on the phone. He said, "What's up, everyone?" He's out there hustling, doing some amazing detail jobs. But Brandon shot it. Brandon's name also comes up when Jeremy talks about Brandon. He mentions him a couple times about shooting the Maverick. Of course, he's talking about Brandon Burrell Images. And it's pretty cool, Mike, that it shows, Brandon's been doing this 2025 plus, but he's able to shoot like a Darryl Poe, the Outlaw for a badass feature. He's able to shoot a golf cart that's going to get the cover. So, tip of the cap to Brandon.
Oh, absolutely. And, shout out to Brandon for going out and trying to find Strawberry Shortcake. My favorite girl there in Pigeon Forge, and apparently he couldn't find her. Sorry, you really missed out for not being able to find her, but hey, it's all good. And, but guys, definitely want to give a shout out to our homies, Dizzy Don Davis and Glenn Brown, because, they do a podcast. I don't know if you guys are listening or not, but you guys should go out and check out the Custom Scene podcast. Okay. Glenn and Dizzy, every week put out the podcast, and actually Glenn's recovered now. So there'll be another one coming here soon. Just listen to it today, and but definitely go out and check that one out. And of course, you can't forget our favorite hillbillies, lowest common denominator. Go check that one out as well. And of course, our boy ODB is always putting out our Lifestyle, the podcast, every Friday. But if you're listening to this, you already know about it.
Yeah, definitely great times. And I love that, we're continuing to see like Mini Truck Colts back, doing the thing, and there's a lot of there's a lot of content out there every which way you look. We certainly appreciate everybody kind of continuing to come back here. Now, I do want to announce too, Mike, in the scene updates, because this ties into what you just said, we have a new partner. It's Don Dizzy Davis, and it's _ on Instagram, Dizzy. So if you just type in Dizzy, D-I-Z-Z-Y, it's probably going to come up. He's got his personal, but he also has Dizzy Designs, just how it sounds. And Mike, here's the key thing, right? In this world that we live in, many of us are looking at our phones, our tablets, our computers often. It's important to have that online presence. As you know, you and John just had Eastbound Get Down. Don Dizzy Davis, he has a pretty cool career, and what he's been able to do is expand upon that and offer some services for different folks, whether you want to have one of those cool Facebook like filter things that has all of your show information on it, or just some general promotional type stuff. He does a lot of online kind of content, right? So he's able to kind of help do some different things. I know the Decorvers that are going to link up with him for their show, Sparks in the Park. And Don Dizzy Davis is doing some cool stuff. So, he has helped us, as many of you know, a lot of those special edition stickers, which, by the way, we got a new one coming, Mike. Vic and I have linked up on this one. The Mike stickers, the high school photos, and some of those all come from the mind of, we give him some ideas, but Dizzy puts it together. So thanks, Dizzy. And oftentimes, he'll traffic that content over to Graphics Mafia. They print it, and then biggity boom, we've got some stuff right in hand. So big ups to Dizzy Designs, and I can't wait to continue to help him get crazy. But he does some pretty cool stuff, doesn't he, Mike?
Bro, I tell you what, and somebody captured it on the back of my license plate. I was told a certain ODB is the one that put it on my license plate. I don't know that for sure, but it has been there and it will stay there, and I won't remove it unless somebody else does. But yeah, he does some awesome, comes up with some really cool designs. And once again, we appreciate Graphic Mafia for coming through and always making those for us.
Yeah, and of course, Dizzy's on the team for the Spark Show. Not to be confused with Sparks in the Park, which is a Florida show, but the Spark Show, which won our 2021 Show of the Year, that's up in Sevierville every August. So, big ups to the team there. And it was great seeing them at your show, by the way. But, Mike, the scene updates brought to you by Garage Gear Clothing. As we said earlier, garagegearclothing.com. They have free shipping. One of the only brands that I know of tied to the scene that can offer that. Of course, they'll be out at Lone Star Throwdown as well. Please go by, at least cop a shirt or a hat, and let them know that our Lifestyle Podcast sent you. You never know. Crystal might just hook you up, Mike.
It's very possible. Very possible.
So we're going to wind it down just with a couple things. The key show updates. We talked a lot about shows, Mike. Again, if we kind of keep that scope for the 1 month, we're pretty much, I know you and I, you mentioned there's a local show on 2/12 that's up at the OCC Roadhouse, I believe it is. So we're gonna go over to there. So that's going to be cool. And then, of course, we got LST. And then the weekend after LST, we'll be down kind of Lake Wales area. We mentioned it earlier, Relaxing on the Ranch. That's a wonderful show. Now, outside of that, we're pretty much in our scope is we got OBI, which is the last weekend in March. Again, Robbie with Keg Media. They team up with Custom Car Show Productions, Lauren Miller, and they do a fantastic job. So we're looking forward to that. And then I think from there, Mike, the next big thing is Relaxing in the Park, St. Louis. We talked about we're going to fly up there for that one. And then it's going to get a little tough because a few weeks later we're going to be over in Vegas with Corey and team for Mini Truck Showdown. So that's kind of the scope right there that gives you the hard hitters between now and kind of that first weekend in June.
Yeah, we definitely we got a full schedule, and we look forward to seeing everybody. So, hey, and don't forget, guys, make sure you check us out at LST because we will be set up at LST, and come check out all the new metal art that we'll have there at LST. And, of course, all the other OLP merch that we'll have there as well.
Yeah, we're trying to line up. We've got some stuff lined up for the booth, but we're lining up some epic stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool. I think, as we get closer, we'll announce some of that. The key show updates brought to you by West Coast Influence. please go out. Some of you have it, some of you don't. Many of you probably don't, but minitruckfilm.com, you can order the Blu-ray or DVD. Add this one to your collection. It's not available to download, so it's exclusively through minitruckfilm.com. Pick up the West Coast influence. Okay, Mike, just to close it down, we're going to merge the podcast updates with the Airhead Nation updates. And what I just want to say, again, I got a chance to meet Joey at Get Decked last weekend. We picked up some skate decks, and we're going to be getting some more, and we're going to have those, as Mike just alluded, at Lone Star Throwdown, so we're super excited about that. Now, Mike, I did also see some things on Facebook that I wanted to mention regarding the Airhead Nation update. So I'm going to pull these up. Do you have anything that you've noticed recently that you wanted to mention for the great, fine folks out there in the Airhead Nation?
Well, the first thing is OBI is a pre-registration show only. So make sure you guys get pre-registered because as soon as it's full and it's done. So you don't want to miss out. It's a badass show, and so don't be left out. Make sure you get pre-registered and get those in soon.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's been tough out there because a lot of folks continue to lose family and loved ones, and obviously every day we're not getting any younger, so to speak, whether it's someone tied to the scene or maybe it's a loved one. I continue to see it. And what we would say, we've said this before, one of our good listeners mentioned this to us before, if you guys are ever, and I know people don't like to talk about this, but if you're ever in a tough time and you're seeing, all these tough things go around, just know there's always help out there, right? Whether it's, a suicide prevention hotline, or it's calling a friend, or texting someone going, hey, listen, I know you might be busy. I need to talk to you for a minute. So, Mike, I want to continue to kind of preach that, so to speak, as we go on, because I do believe it's so important. Mental health maybe isn't talked about enough, especially with the homies, but just, try to make sure that you guys are doing, what you can to help out the friends and the homies out there that might need you. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, brother. Always reach out and, check on your buddies, check on your friends, and see how everything's going.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I don't recall if I covered this last week, but I did see it. Billy Weekly, he started off last year very tough. This year, he did lose his mom, and I may have mentioned that last week, but, we send our condolences out there. And again, that's just one example. There's a lot of things out there that can really put some mental stress on you, dealing with someone that you lose, and there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. So, we wish Billy Weekly, one of our homies, our brothers, and so many, and all of you guys out there, let's be honest, the best in these difficult times.
Absolutely, because he actually came out and actually came out to the show, and still wanted to show support, and obviously it ended up going down, and he had to leave early. So definitely our thoughts and our prayers go out to Billy and the Weekly family.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We'll cover anything else that we might have on next week's episode. So I just want to kind of reinforce that message. So thanks for everyone for looking out for your friends and loved ones and your homies. And then, Mike, I just want to kind of end and say, hey, dude, Hammered Weekend Wear, they continue to put out cool stuff. I always get excited because, that it's every 60 days. And if you're in that t-shirt subscription or the hoodie or whatever you selected, you automatically get those, right? And that open enrollment's really only about a month period. Some ask why it's not around all year, Mike, and of course you got to put the tick marks for all the different shirt sizes and all that, and it gets a little complicated. But what I would ask of you is Hank and Ron, right? Let's be honest. These guys continue to support the scene east to west, flying out to shows, dropping new merch. Go to HAMMERD, weekendwear.com, go to products, look at some of their stuff, buy a hat, buy a shirt. They've got banners. I love the Must Be Paradise Apache truck. I grew up riding in one of those. I also love Body Drop Everything with Chris, one of my severed brothers. Everyone knows Body Drop. But, please get out there, support the real deal if you can, Mike. And all I can say is I know Ron really appreciates that.
Oh, absolutely. And the whole, don't forget about the, Adam Tripp and Corey Floyd, the East Coast Hammered Weekend Wear reps.
Yeah, and they're trying to get the East Coast West. I mean, they're trying. I told him, I said, you can't brew that war again. And Hank, there's a rumor that he, got thrown into Clinton Correctional Facilities in the '90s when Pac was in there, and he was feeding Pac lines for All Eyes on Me and all that stuff. So I don't know how much is going on there, but I know like they're trying to kind of ignite the war again. And I said, guys, Adam, Dizzy, crew, just Corey, lay it down a little bit, but listen, let's not ignite any wars. We don't need to lose any more, dope rappers like Pac and stuff, because let's be honest, Pac would have been, he would have been at the halftime show. I really, truly feel that. And it was cool in that 3.5 minute promo, Mike. You get to hear the California Love, which for those that don't know, that was going to be a Dre track for his album he was working on. And when Pac got out, he says, Suge goes, we need some fire for it. And he goes, boom. First single, And, of course, I dropped the verse last week, Mike. I don't have a good flow, and it takes a lot to be able to get that, so I appreciate everyone that kind of laughs along with us. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, brother. And, hey, as long as everybody's laughing with us and not at us, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not. They never laugh at us. I mean, they're cool with us, right? So in all seriousness, dude, have a good night, brother. We're going to roll in. If we link up with Matt Weather's cool, we're going to try. If not, we're going to roll into Jeremy Bumpus. Mike, have a great weekend, dog.
Hey, you do the same, brother.
We out here. Peace. Yo, as I mentioned, we're super excited here with this episode to have Jeremy, I believe I'm pronouncing it correct, Bumpus, right?
Yeah, man, you got it.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on, man. We're excited. NC Tim, one of our good friends, linked us up, and we can't thank him enough. But how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. Had a little bit of COVID here recently, and that really sucked. But now that I'm over that, man, everything is just banging.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to hear that you're kind of on the upswing of things. And I tell you, we got some cool stuff to talk about. I always enjoy watching MotorTrend, and there's a lot of different cool shows. I know you've been kind of a part of a few things, but I wanted to kind of just start maybe a little bit of background. I've read some of the bios and the cool stuff out there, but for the listeners, like who is Jeremy Bumpus?
Well, man, it's like we were talking about this the other day with somebody, and I started. I think we had a kid come by the shop, and he started talking about things he was into. Wanted to meet me, watches the show, and we're sitting there, and he's telling this stuff he's into, and I started thinking like, man, I was into that too, and I was into this, and anyway, after I started kind of going over all this stuff with him, I was like, if I told my story, I don't know if anybody would believe a damn word that I'm saying, because it felt to me like I had lived a lifetime of just doing all this craziness. So, man, for me, it was when I was growing up, I would say probably, I don't know, man, maybe around 10. I remember specifically, as far as like the automotive stuff goes, I remember specifically we're sitting in Memphis, and this dude comes three-wheeling through a red light. And I was like, oh, my God, dude, like, did you freaking see that thing? And anyway, after that, it was like that. It was on for me for there. But, just as I was growing up, around Memphis, came up in a super small town about an hour east of Memphis or so. Like, there's nobody in this town. There's nobody there. There's no real scene of anything. There's no mini trucking, really. You got a couple old guys with hot rods. So my thing, I come up playing baseball. We rode BMX if we could find a spot to ride, and that was and that was really the two big things I had going when I was a kid. And then it started to get into the kind of mini trucking thing and all that. Actually, baseball put me through college. I went to college to be a teacher. So as I was going to school to be a teacher, I was building trucks. And then the next thing I knew, somebody one day was like, you should go teach at like one of those VOTEC schools. So I left there after getting the teaching degree and went to one of those schools because I'm like, okay, I'll do this and then I'll go teach that. And next thing I knew, I was building cars, and it was just like all over from there. So anyway, very long story short, that's essentially how it all happened.
That's pretty cool. Now, when you go, like when you kind of were transitioning from high school into like, hey, what do I want to do, right? Because a lot of that changes for us like when you say teaching, like are you thinking like, hey, I want to be like a teacher in a regular like school, or like did you have something like a specific focus that you're like, man, I want to teach people how to weld, or what was that?
No, man, actually, believe it or not, and it's crazy to say it now, but I was going to school to be a kindergarten through sixth grade teacher.
Really?
And yeah, and my whole thought behind that was I was playing baseball. I was actually, I'm a smaller guy, so that kind of hurt me, but I was actually really good, and I was trying to go that path. My parents were really pushing that path. I really wanted to build cars. They wanted me to play ball. So I'm thinking to myself like, well, I'm playing ball and I'm doing all this. So I go to school. I'm like, okay, so I'll leave school and I'll coach. I'll be a teacher and I'll coach baseball. That'll keep me in baseball, and I'll do all that stuff. And now in reality, the reason that I stopped playing and all that is I was so burnt out. It just didn't even make sense. Like, because we played year round, we traveled the country. I played baseball in every state, minus like Hawaii and Alaska.
Right.
And by the time I was a couple of years into college, I was like, oh my God, this sucks. I just want to build cars. And that was all I could think about, was just wanting to build cars. So I quit, at least playing baseball anyway. And I remember my dad was like, all right, man, you've thrown it away. It's all over. And luckily now it worked out.
Yeah, because you're kind of, you've described like small town America, right? Little diner on the corner, and you kind of come up, and your parents are like, hey, man, you got this career and potentially doing this. I want to ask you now, were you like a shortstop, or what position did you play?
Yeah, so I was shortstop. I was middle infield. I was super quick, normally lead off, second batter. I had a really good inside-out swing, would hit to right. I mean, you could pitch a ball at me, and I could hit it to right field, and that was kind of a thing I had going for me at that time. And speed was a big thing. But once I started, like, actually getting into serious college level, I started to realize my size it was killing me. Like, I was quick and I was good, but everybody wanted like the 6'5", 230 dude. And here I am 5'7", and like at that time 125. And they're just like, dude, you got to put some meat on you.
Yeah, no, I know. And what was interesting is my dad, one of our cousins here, he was older than I am. He got drafted by the Reds in the early 80s, and he was a catcher, and he was really good, and he got hurt like a lot of players do, and he kind of got into coaching, and he eventually worked his way up, and he was the skipper when Griffey was there with the Reds because he stayed with them a long time. And then,
how cool is that?
Yeah, it was cool, and I always wanted to meet Griffey because, as a kid, I always remember he was like the first guy that would wear his hat backwards that I can remember, the fitted hats.
Yeah.
So I never got a chance to meet him, but, then they brought in the new leadership and all that stuff, and after that, the Yankees picked him up, but he would always spend time down like the Dominican, a lot of that farm stuff. And he won a lot of games as a AAA coach. But one thing that was always cool is here and there we'd get a hat from like the Scranton Wilkes-Barre. He coached them for a while, I think it was. But what was neat, and I know you've experienced this, is all that AAA stuff and a lot of those things. They have some of the coolest hats and logos, man. And those little small towns,
for sure.
All the people kind of come out, and it's just such I don't know, it seems like as a fan, well, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I don't know a lot about it, but like as a someone that would go to a game, like it's really kind of that small town feel.
Yeah, for sure. And see, I didn't realize what my parents were doing. I see it now. And like, even since then, like I love playing. Since that's been 20 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know that I've watched a baseball game since then. Like it's just like, I still like it. I could, and all that. I don't know, man. It was something I was good at, but maybe not so much just my thing.
Yep.
But now I look back and I go, okay, I see what he was doing, because I was looking at it going, okay, well, I'm going to go through college. I might play single A. That would be cool. But those guys literally get paid nothing. You get a free meal and you travel the country in a bus with 40 other dudes. And I'm sitting there going, it's not really what I want to do. But in his mind, he was thinking, you go do that, dude. And then once you're done, you go open up a hitting clinic and you charge $100 an hour to show some kid how to swing a bat. He's like, it's the easiest life you could ever have. And then, I still thought like, yeah, whatever, that would never happen. Now I look back and I'm like, okay, you might have been right about that. Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. And, in that era growing up, you mentioned kind of BMX bikes, and a lot of us, we look back at just the 80s, and, we've seen a resurgence of just like even clothing and all that stuff, so much from that era. But I tell you, whether, it's the video games and the bikes and all that stuff, it is cool. Like, I'm thankful, probably around the same age as you, when we grew up in the era that we did. I love smartphones. I'm on mine too much, like many of us, but, back in those days, you could get on your bike, and it was just like, dude, it was like the freedom, man.
I know, man, and I miss it so much. And then I try to like push that off onto my kids, like just go ride your bike and like get on your skateboard and go do stuff. Like I don't know if you saw it. I even posted it today. I got out my old GT BMX bike that I got when I was 13, and I restored it. And I was like, this would be so cool to stick in the Maverick and carry it around. So I mean, I've even brought it back out, man. Those were good times, and they're hard to beat. The only bad part for me was being in such a small town. I had like maybe one or two buddies that understood, BMX or skateboarding and all that. And then everybody else was, video games or hunting or, which I didn't do any of that stuff. I wasn't a gamer, and I didn't hunt. I didn't really do any of that, but I was always on my bike. I was always skating and magazines and stuff. And I only had just a person or two that understood kind of that lifestyle.
Yeah, your mindset. Yeah, and I kind of had similar, because where we grew up on School Road, my parents moved there in 79. There were only a couple of like kind of kids, like, and I was good friends with them, but I didn't grow up like in a neighborhood where some of my friends did, where it was like, okay, like 30 of the guys are riding bikes. It was like me, and I'd sit there and I'd make little dirt mounds, and I'd try to jump and watch Rad and all this stuff, and I was like, man, I didn't really have anyone either to like push me to say, hey, yeah, okay, man, let's make this ramp and let's learn, and so I look back at some of the stuff I would see in magazines, and I just loved it,
Yeah, well, like for us where we were, I mean, if you went to the grocery store, you drove 30 minutes to get there. I mean, we were literally like, there was nowhere. So if you had anybody around, you were lucky.
You were lucky, yeah. One question I have about baseball was, growing up, were you a fan of a particular, I mean, I'm thinking like Ozzie Smith, right? I mean, he was one of the best, one of the greats. So like, do you look back at those days, like probably collecting cards here a little bit and that type of stuff, and go like maybe he was one of your favorites, or was there someone else?
I would say that Ozzie probably was on top of the list. And, I still have the card collection that I had back then, but I would say you could probably see that going through that stuff. I had his cards back when he was with the Padres, his rookie cards. I've got autographed baseballs. I had a supper with him one night. Wow. So yeah, looking back at all that, I was, did that stuff. I would definitely say Ozzie Smith would probably have to be the top of the charts on that one.
When my cousin would get us tickets to the Reds for a long time, we're in Plant City, and we get to go in this during spring training and watch the games. I remember seeing him out there, and we, as kids, you throw the balls over and they'd sign him and stuff, and he was always a real nice guy. I only saw him a couple times, but one thing I always loved about him, again, I'm not like a baseball historian, I don't know a lot about it, but I always remember, I think his little thing was at opening day every year, he would run out and he would do like the flip in the air.
Backflip.
The backflip.
Yep. He would backflip. Like, he would do it almost every game, which was awesome.
Wow.
Because the Cardinals, so if we go to St. Louis, roughly 4 or 5 hours from here, not too bad. So we would, through the year, normally every year would go a couple of times a year, and every single time he ran out, dude, it was a backflip, and it was like,
sick.
Holy, and when you're a kid, it was like, oh my, look at this guy, and they called him the Wizard. He was definitely I've never seen anybody move like that guy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was the kid that, even though we eventually got a trampoline, like, you could go, hey, I'll give you $100 to do a flip, and like, I couldn't even do a flip on a trampoline. You know what I mean? So when I would have my buddies over, like, they'd like climb on a roof and go, all right, watch this, I'm gonna backflip off the roof. I'm like, dude, like, I never could do any of that stuff. So seeing Ozzie do that, I was like, this is sick, dude.
Yeah, man, flat-footed on the ground at that time. I don't know, man. I'm sure he was. I think I remember watching him play once, and he probably had to be in his 40s then, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember when he retired, but he still ran out and did a backflip, and I was like, this dude, he's not human, man. Right. There's something crazy about him.
For the love of the game. Back then, money wasn't as much as it is these days and stuff. So, I look back to the Tony Gwynn days and him and some of the cards I collected, growing up, and, it's kind of crazy. And I guess the last thing, not to get too far into baseball, I don't follow it closely, but I did hear the other day, or heard just this week, that Big Papi, he made, the Hall of Fame, first ballot. But, we don't even have to bring up some of those other names. I didn't realize when they said that they had, so it was their last year of eligibility. And some of those big names that we know from that era didn't make it because of the whole, S word, right? So, I mean, I'm guessing that. But I didn't realize, it sounds like MLB has it where, like, you only got a 10-year window. And after that, like...
See, I didn't even realize that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I got to look it up because I did hear it, like, on a little radio show I listened to, so... But I was like, man, that sounds kind of crazy. But, I mean, still, like, the Wade Boggs and all those guys of that era just, are just guys that a lot of us looked up.
We had that conversation the other day. I can't remember who I was talking with about it. And it just, I don't talk about baseball much, but we somehow got on this topic. And they're not letting them in because of steroids. But, back then it was like... that's just what people did. It's like, not to say right or wrong or whatever, but that was just kind of what people did. There was no testing for it. Nobody said you couldn't do it. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's still the way I look at it from being a baseball player is whether I took steroids or didn't, or any kind of enhancement drug, dude, it is still a skill that you have to develop, and it takes so many hours to do that it's unfreaking believable. And I don't really think you should take it away from them just for that fact. But it's just my opinion.
Exactly. And I do think my last thought on it, my wife kind of grew up in Pittsburgh area. Well, she north of Pittsburgh, but like the Barry Bonds of the world's, like they probably, like, you look at, like, if Griffey never got hurt, I think early in his career, and then, with Barry Bonds and stuff, those guys would have probably had, just as many, if not, even potentially more. So, it is crazy.
There's no doubt.
It's always a polarizing topic, but I appreciate you chiming in a little bit on that. But,
sure.
So, you kind of talk a little bit about, you see the 3-wheel come through the stop sign or the stoplight. I, grew up in the era of, like, we'd put on MTV and we'd see, like, Ice Cube Today Was a Good Day video. And I'm like, man, what is this car? And, as you get older, you realize, well, okay, they rented the car, but it was like this guy that's ingrained in the lowrider scene. But all of that stuff, like, I was in love too with it. So do you then, you start seeing that, right? You're a teenager, you start looking at magazines, and then do you start going, well, man, I want to get me a car. What does that end up with, like, your first vehicle? Like, so
it's funny, like, what basically even led me into mini truck and hot rods, anything, were the lowriders. Like, seeing that first, I believe it was I want to say it was a 64 Impala was the first one that I saw 3-wheeling through there. And I was like, holy crap. So, of course, the first thing I do, pick up Lowrider magazine. I'm looking at lowriders. I'm checking out these Impalas, and, like, literally to this day, a 64 drop top on 13s, Dayton's, like, that is still something that gets me, like, freaking going, dude.
At the core, like, right?
Yes, like, I mean, like, so much that I've got a 61 bubble top sitting in the back, and it is waiting for me to build it. Like, but what that basically did, so I see that, and I'm obviously checking out lowrider magazines. Well, the lowrider magazines kind of transitioned over into the mini trucking, the trucking, and all that kind of stuff. So obviously, coming from a small town and, doing all this stuff, you didn't go buy a new truck or car. Like, nobody did that. Like, my parents never had a new truck or car. Like, it just didn't. Yep. Yeah, it just didn't happen, right? So when you're getting close, I think I actually got my first truck when I was like 14 or so. Like, I convinced my dad to go ahead and buy, like, get me this truck, man. Right. It was a Ranger or something, and it was remember, it was a 4-liter 5-speed Ranger. It was a 94, so the round body, and it already had a set of, like, they were Ultra wheels, but they looked like Eagle alloys, or something like that. So that lowrider thing led me over into the mini trucking thing, because that was basically what we could afford to buy, right?
Yes. Yep.
So then it just freaking took off from there. So nobody in town really at that time had anything like that. So of course, when I get it and I'm looking at mini trucking and nobody knows what the hell I'm doing, I'm trying to figure out, well, how do I get it lower, and how do I get a sound system in it? And I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. So that's what led to that. I feel like the lowrider thing is what really led me over into that, because it transitioned from, I can't afford that but I think I can that, and I can make it look cool like one of those.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I have a couple of my original lowriders from like the early 90s, and I was the same way because, like I said, you turn on, Dre's album comes out, 92, Snoop and all this stuff, and you're seeing, Eazy-E. I think he really coined the term 6.4 and 6.4 and all that, but, we turn on MTV and you'd see that, and I'm like, and for me as a younger kid that really didn't have maybe a lot of, I wasn't an outgoing kind of kid. Like I was real shy, right? So I would see that and I was like, well, man, if I had something cool like this, all my homies would want to roll with me, and
for real.
So it was kind of like that. But, what's cool, talking about lowriders, is something, and I may have mentioned this on the podcast before, but, Boys in the Hood, they had that famous lowrider, and I forget there's a name of that car, and I was watching the audio commentary of the Blu-ray one time, and rest in peace John Singleton, who directed it. He mentioned someone brought up the car, and he goes, man, I had a chance to buy that car, and he goes, that's like one of the regrets I have. And of course, a lot of people know that's over in Japan now, where a lot of that stuff ends up. But
yeah,
dude, you look back, even the Ice Cube. Someone was telling me it's called like Family Jewel, or it's something Jewel, that green car that kind of had the bowling ball kind of looking paint. But all that stuff,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's all ingrained in our brains, dude. We're like, that was us in those days, So
yeah, man, it was such an awesome time, like for all that, and then it's funny how that first experience seeing that thing three-wheel through there, like I will never forget that. Anytime anybody asks, like, man, how did you get into this stuff? How do you do it? Like that's the first thing right there that pops into my head is like that damn lowrider, man.
Yeah, when Tim Davis, we had him on RA, he has a topless Nissan, and he talked about, I think it was him, where we were talking about, like, he was driving a lower dually, or when he was younger, he was looking at magazines and he saw a lower, like, OBS dually, back when he was a kid. And it was like, boom, and you could almost think about, a lot of us, I know me, like, I'm bad about sometimes driving my stuff or, taking it out and stuff, but, the kids these days, we could, imagine how many people, especially with you and your role, you influence people all the time and you may not realize it, but like, if you're out driving the Maverick that we'll talk about, you might have a kid that's like 8 years old and are like, man, I want to do that, and in like 30 years, they're going to be talking about it. So it's cool, man.
Yeah. It's exactly what I think about all the time is like, because every time I see a kid, I think back to when I saw that one. And like, for instance, I was talking about the kid that came in the other day. It was to see that kid, man, the way he lit up when he saw these cars, when he walked in this shop, made me want to show him around and show him everything we've done and how we modified that. I would spend my whole day doing that with that kid because I see right then and there that it is ingrained in him at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good feeling because you think about, long hours. There's always days where we're like slamming a hammer down going, damn, got to redo this or whatever. And then it kind of gives you the motivation to kind of go, man, that kid just left, and God, man, I want to get back and work because it, you realize you're doing it for cool stuff. A lot of times it's for a high, clientele, but you see a kid that's like, man, it just gets them going, and it really gets me going because I'm like, well, shit, I want to get out there and hustle now,
Yeah, like I'm seeing it with like my 5-year-old. I know, he's got a lot of growing to do. Things may change. He may not like cars at all. But it's crazy how much he loves these cars and he wants to be in the shop all the time. And you tell him to go get a 1/2-inch wrench, he knows which one to go get. But what's been crazy is when I picked this Maverick up, that became his truck. And like he is so all over this thing that it doesn't make sense. Like he wants to be on it. He wants to polish on it. He wants to know how I did the paint a certain way. Like it is really mind blowing because at 5, I'm sure I didn't care.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, it is because, and you could see, when kids are younger and they start, you're like, man, their minds are really awesome. And the world they live in now with like iPads and stuff, it's like some of these kids are like, I can't remember what age I was when I knew my ABCs, or how many months old I was, but you're seeing these kids and like you said, with your son, seeing that, it's cool because, it's leaving a lasting impression that as he gets a little bit older, he's, my buddy Vic and I always say this, you look at a kid like that, or even someone that's 15, 18 years old. And I often, Vic and I will look at one of those guys or kids and go, you're the future of this truck scene, or this hot rod scene.
Yeah.
And they kind of look at you and they're probably like, oh, this old head, what's he talking about? But really, if you think about it, these kids are the future. So.
Well, what's funny about him that, especially with the iPad stuff, I've also got 3 daughters, and they're all over that crap. Like, I
Yep.
can't get their heads out of it. I can't get them to do anything. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, what's going on?
Right.
So, he's kind of following that a little bit. He's got his little iPad. He's doing all this stuff. But what's funny is every day he'll walk to me and he'll go, "Dad, check this one out." So last night, actually, he walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, Dad, look at this. Are we going here?" And it was mini Truckin Nationals that somebody had posted on YouTube, just going down checking the trucks out, like Grinder TV or one of those guys. And that's what he sits there and watches, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy. And one thing that ties in a little bit is when you think about like YouTube and all these different things, like. Remember the old days, you were waiting for Mini Truckin to be like, oh, the next one's going to have how to do a chop, and
Yeah.
like, I could never do that stuff. But a lot of people, like, I'm sure they read it and they're like, okay, so it's not that bad. We got to measure, we got to do this. Now,
Yeah.
like, I mean, you go on YouTube and like these different channels that show you how to do stuff. To me, it just kind of shows the amount of resources that are out there. You got to be pretty lazy, right? I hate to use that word, but you got to be pretty lazy to go, just be able to sit back and go, well, it's too hard. I can't do it. Because if you really just put your mind to it, like George McFly said, you can accomplish anything, right?
Yeah, man. If there were YouTube when I was a teenager, I say this all the time. There's no telling, because like I play guitar and drums and do stuff like that, and I'm all self-taught.
Yeah.
I remember I started playing when I was 10. I was self-taught. I was trying to do that. Man, if I would have had YouTube, oh my God, I'd probably be, more like Eddie Van Halen instead of just strumming chords.
Yeah, my dad played the guitar, and he said the same thing. He's like, he couldn't believe, and he wasn't a techie guy, but he would download this program, and he goes, man, I'm learning how to play like the Rolling Stone songs and stuff, and it's like,
yeah,
it is really amazing. But we've hinted a little bit. I want to talk about the Maverick, but I did want to just for a moment touch upon, like, talk to us a little bit about the killer MotorTrend TV show that you're a part of, man, because I think I love the show. I love the logo. I love so much about it. But, maybe mention the show name and anything that you want to share about it.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, started hosting Car Fix on MotorTrend. My co-host, Brian Fuller, super cool dude, man, crazy talented. If you don't know him, definitely look him up because he'll blow your mind. It's been awesome working with him. But yeah, it's been a great gig, because the reason that I like these shows so much, these more, I guess, how-to shows, is I guess the background of, being a teacher and then getting to teach people how to do this stuff, like actually having a platform to where we can take these really high-end cars we're building, stuff that people, maybe think they can't do or something, and we can break it down and show you how we're doing it, how we're TIG welding it, how we're metal shaping it. And the great thing about this one in particular is they're so great because they'll let Brian and myself bring our own projects. So most of the time, if you're watching it, it's normally one of our builds, unless it's just something where we're doing basic maintenance, maybe swapping a carburetor or something. They may find one and pull it in. But yeah, for the most part, they're all ours. So we get to kind of not only teach people what we're doing, but show off, what we've done, how we've built it, who we're using, so it's been an awesome experience. And this is, having a couple of shows in my pocket now, I would definitely say Car Fix has been it's been my favorite experience so far.
Yeah, because the other show you were involved in, I could imagine different production companies and stuff, they probably do things, very different, whereas some people might think, well, TV is all the same, but it's definitely not the case, right? Yeah,
and it's kind of mind-blowing to go from two totally different extremes, it feels like, because I hosted Truck Tech with Power Nation, and it was 5 or so years ago, did that for a handful of years. And the way that we would shoot there is basically 7 to 9 days to film one full episode, which is about an 18-minute runtime. So we had those amount of days, maybe a couple of days down there, doing some behind the scenes work, maybe getting something ready for the next shot. And then you flip this over to Car Fix. So let me say too, that was a 40-hour a week gig, 52 weeks out of the year. So it was a full-time job. We did 23 episodes a year. Car Fix, we do 16, so not quite as many, but we film an episode in a day and a half.
Nice.
So what's really cool about that is, me and Brian, we definitely have, I think, kind of the same work ethic. We are like, get in it, get after it, and go. We don't really mess around or sit back and think about it too much. It's like, man, if we need to bend that metal up, let's just start bending, and let's see where we just get after it. So
Amazing.
we typically come down to Tampa, and then, maybe in a week, normally we'll get 3 episodes in the can. We'll come back home. We'll get to spend a month with the family, go back to another week. So it really breaks it up to where I can be here, run the shop, see the kids, see the wife, and be able to make some cool TV too. So it's really, really awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you kind of sharing some of the insights, because it's always intriguing to me how the whole TV stuff works, and technology's gotten a lot better and things like that. And they need folks like you and Brian on the show that can, to your point, kind of get after it. And I love seeing that. I love seeing some of the projects. Brian's Lincoln, of course, he's got the Coupe, and I think he's up in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
And then you live still in Tennessee area, right?
Yeah, so our shop is right across the Tennessee line in North Mississippi. So we're
cool.
just 15 miles from the state line, hour east of Memphis. So yeah, we're right there on the line.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you on Truck Tech, I think is technically, if I'm saying that right. And, a lot of us grew up, I remember kind of in the 90s, it was funny because we didn't really have DVR. We weren't really, you'd have to be a pretty big fiend to be like VHS in it. I could never figure out whatever that VHS, like there was like codes you could put in, it would record. But I remember on Sundays we'd get up and, when TNT, I think it was TNT or TNN, when they had their whole kind of run of shows, and many of us, got up and we watched, Stacey David, Stacey David and things like that. And that for me, way before the social media stuff was kind of cool. So like seeing you on Truck Tech and now on CarFix, I'm like, hey, I know that voice, I know that name, and to see that you're dabbling in what you're dabbling in, man, like, dude, I tip my cap to you, man.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate that. And like you just said, that was the reason that got me onto there was, we didn't have anything else to go by. So when I was building trucks in the garage, like my parents' house or whatever, I would get up on Saturday mornings, I would watch those shows, and that would motivate me to just like go out there and start working on it. I'd be like, hell yeah, I can do it. I can do that. And then you'd be out there and work on it. So, and it's funny how it all worked out, because I was building these mini trucks in the garage. I was doing this stuff, and I started to kind of, had Brandon shoot one of my Toyota. Mm-hmm. So I remember he shot that for mini trucking. Then after that, I sold it just recently after, which I was like, damn, I shouldn't have done.
Really?
But the reason I did that, I was kind of building these trucks. I was like, man, I'm to a point in my life, I need to make a living, and these trucks aren't really making that living for me. So I was like, I still want to be in that scene. I still want to hit switches. I still want to do this stuff. Like, what can I do? So I ended up building a 67 Mustang, and back then I put it on air ride. Like, I'm staring at it right now. It's on the ground. It's pro charged. It's, it's slicked out. And I took that thing to Good Guys in Nashville, and it won some award. I can't remember what it took home. And of course I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And a guy walks up and he said, hey man, you ever thought about being on TV? And I was like, I wouldn't talk to anybody, dude. Like, I mean, I was at a local car show and the news crew wanted to interview me, and I was like, no, it's okay. I'm good. You can go to that guy. So this guy says, you ever thought about doing anything? And I was like, no, man, not really. And he said, well, hey, why don't you give me a call? So I give him a call. We schedule an interview for like that next Monday. So I drive up to Nashville that next Monday. I do an on-camera interview, and I think I started that Wednesday.
Really?
Like, it all happened that quick to where no great. TV experience, no nothing, just built this car, showed it, and then a couple weeks later I was filming. It was a whirlwind, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I know it's not like TV, it's not like a movie, but I'll call him a casting director, right? A hiring manager, whatever. That's the cool thing about, he or she that can pluck someone like you, Jeremy, because to me, I don't know a lot about fabrication and all that stuff, but when we watch it, we can tell that you're a real car guy, Now, granted, I do know that, we assume some of the TV shows, you have I don't want to call them stagehands, but you have maybe some off, but like what you're saying with you and Brian, you guys are getting your hands dirty. You're jumping right in. And I think like tip of the cap to that dude that was like, hey man, let's talk, because he saw something in you, seeing the quality of work, and you ran with it,
Yeah, man. And it's completely changed my life too. So much appreciation to that dude. I can't even remember who he was now, but man, yeah, it was crazy.
Well, it goes to show you there's the story, and Christopher Lloyd has shared this recently, being a big Back to the Future fan. He talks about like when he first got the script for Back to the Future, he threw it in the trash can. And his wife at the time, I think he's been married several times, but, his wife at the time said, you should probably just not, repass the first page or whatever it was. You should probably read the whole script and just think about it. And although a little bit different situation, but you look at it and be like, could you imagine if Christopher Lloyd said, no, I don't want to do Back to the Future? It wouldn't be the same movie. Yeah. So it's just
no way.
You got to run with those opportunities that sometimes are presented to you.
Yeah, and it's been a good experience all the way. The people that I've been able to meet, the companies that I'm able to work with now through this, Kevin Tates, who hosted Truck Tech before me, we became really good friends. Man, that's an awesome relationship. And then you got Ian Johnson that hosts, the 4x4 shows and stuff. Like, he's become a really good friend. And,
Yes.
I would have never even got to meet those people, and they've become some of my best friends and people who you can count on. You can call them if you were across the country with a flat tire, and they'll come get you. And so it's been a good experience all the way around.
Yeah, and they're true hardcore guys, and I think that's one thing. Obviously there's been some conglomerates like a MotorTrend kind of come over and start, buying some properties and things like that. But like even me, like when I watch, I know it's a different show, but like Garage Squad, I love it because there's so many people out there, and I've learned things over the years. I know I'm not a hot rod builder, but for a show like yourself to be able to like Carfix to motivate, or someone like Garage Squad that maybe gives an opportunity. Not everybody gets picked, but I guarantee there's people at home going, you know what? Wow, they came through. I bet you if I ask some of my buddies to come help me, we can get our stuff going, So to me, again, it's that motivation.
Yeah, and that's the way, it used to be too. And I'm so glad to kind of see that happening again, because we talked about it recently, blocking on a car. Like, we just used to have a block party. You call
right.
5 of your buddies, man, get a case of beer, and you'd sit down on a Friday night, and you would just block this truck out and get it ready to paint for the weekend, So it's really awesome stuff, man. It really brings people together, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, and if you think about how many badass vehicles have been built over the life of the hot rodding, so many of them were like, hey, well, listen, man, I'll paint your car if you can do my interior. Oh, sure, the whole like you said. So that's great. What's awesome is you've hinted about the mini trucks, and we've seen on your Instagram, it's the Hot Rod Shop MS, right, for Mississippi. No. For Mississippi. We've seen the hints of this Ford Maverick, right? So this new platform comes out, and I was on the fence going, hey, are people really going to love this thing? And we all love that, quote, mini trucks are back. I read a big story about why a lot of people thought they wouldn't come back, and it had to do with like fuel efficiency and all kinds of craziness, right, with the EPA.
Right.
But they're back, and someone like yourself, one of the first guys out there to kind of go, hey, we're going to build one. What's the experience been like being able to get your hands on and actually working through and building this Maverick?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been absolutely the most fun I've had, and I cannot tell you when. And that is no joke. I've had so much fun doing this thing, trying to figure it out. And we went a little different style. The last mini trucks I built are like the Mustang sitting here. It's on the ground. It's as much wheel and tire as you can stuff in it, and it's big power and all that. This, I was like, I really want to take it back. And I know that's probably going to be a love it or hate it kind of thing. But we basically, picked up the truck. Well, I ordered it. So at first I'm sitting in here, my wife's in here, and I go, man, this new Maverick's coming out. And of course, everybody's like, what? They're bringing a Maverick back? The car? I'm like, no, it's this truck. It's like a unibody truck. And I show it to my wife, and I'm like, I'm going to order it. I'm going to order one right now. We're going to build a mini truck. So I started reaching out to like Ford. I started pulling connections. I was doing everything. I was like, give me one of these trucks. I wanted it SEMA in 21, which it didn't happen, but we ordered it. At first, my wife was kind of like, Jerry, this is a bad idea. Like, I don't think you should. I don't know that we should do this. And I'm like, trust me, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna do a '90s throwback, '90s paint, '90s wheels.
Like, we got
and of
this,
course,
babe.
then she's really going like, what has happened to you? Because we build these modern resto mod cars. And I'm like, just trust me. So we get it here, and the first kind of hurdle is like, okay, well, I want it to be as low as we can get it. So, of course, I start looking at it, and it's got struts on it. It's front-wheel drive, so you've got your CV axles, and I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm like, man, like, this is really going to suck. And so there's no struts for it, so we know that. And actually now, as it sits, I'd got with Zach over at Universal Air, we designed some struts for it. So I ended up putting a set of struts on it, and we've been able to lay it all the way down on air struts, and it actually still works pretty quick and fast. But what we first did, we designed basically to be able to put a 2,500 pound bag in the front,
Right.
just your small bag that you typically use.
Yep.
So we ended up building a cup. We welded it to the top spindle mount. And then we could not figure out how to get this thing just to travel up and down straight, and your spindle still turn. So we ended up putting a bearing in the lower section so the spindle would turn and we would have the lower mount to the spindle. What works awesome. There's a little bit of movement in it, but what it allowed us to do, we're able to hop it a little bit. So we're running 1/2-inch lines all the way through 8 1/2-inch valves. We were talking about putting a nitrogen tank on it. And then, we designed these air struts with Zach over there. It was like, well, I'll give these a shot. So basically, I don't know what I'm going to run yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the air struts on it now. It rides so good. It handles good. I have no bump steer. I've got a little bit of kick up on the tie rods, but all that's good. Then in the rear, it was super easy because it's just basically that straight axle. We pulled the coils out of it. We put cups in the bottom, put a 2,500 pound bag back there. And I mean, it was good to go. So for the most part, it ended up being pretty easy. We just got to figure out what setup we're going to run in the front. Now, the back, we've actually got it hopping. We can hop it about 5 inches off the ground right now.
Wow. Yeah, I saw someone comment the other day because you had a cool photo. Again, we're talking with Jeremy Bumpus. You can go on Instagram and look at some of this, the Hot Rod Shop MS. When someone commented, it was like, you showed the underneath the truck, the valves and all that. They're like, why didn't you just run a modern valve setup? And I think some people forget that, as many truckers, we came from the 1/4-inch lines, manual valves into fast bags, right? You remember that term, right? So what's cool is, when you start talking 1/4-inch valves and stuff like that, I mean, like you said, this isn't your average 3/8 line deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys did a little bit different.
Yeah, and I basically, in a nice way, told the guy that, well, you just can't hop it.
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
and that's it. But and to throw it back, we don't have to throw everything back to the back in the day. But
sure.
To me, it was like I wanted it old school. I wanted a 10-switch box. I wanted it, I wanted all that stuff. So it hits size. It'll do all corners. It'll 3-wheel the back wheel just a little bit, and it'll. Yeah, so it's just really fun and cool. And it's like I told somebody the other day when they were like, man, because this took me back to mini trucking too, because I had a guy look at it and go, why in the world would you do that? Which I remember hearing that all the time.
Right, you can't drive it.
And it finally, hit me, and I think I said it in one of our videos. It's like strictly for fun. That is the only reason why I've done this, is to have fun. It's for me. It's for nobody else. And I'm having so much fun already, and I haven't even gotten to show it yet.
Yeah.
So the suspension was kind of the hard part, I guess, but and then the paint just took all the time in the world. Oh my God! I was so sick of painting. I never thought I don't ever say that, but I was getting tired of painting.
Yeah. Well, to recap a couple things there. So one thing, if you go look at his Instagram, Jeremy's, I like that you did an 1820, right? So it's kind of like the throwback to when wheels started getting bigger, but it wasn't like, hey, because I mean, wheel prices are high, right? You start getting into 24s, 26s, 30s, all this, you're mortgaging a house to get a set of wheels. So I like that, kind of the smaller wheel overall, it fits it perfect. But also the one thing, Jeremy, that I wanted to say earlier is, like, you're kind of a jack of all trades, it seems like, right? So to your point, you're talking about, okay, we're looking under this thing. It's on the lift. We figure out suspension. Okay, boom, we got this. Okay, now I'm going to paint it. I mean, keep me honest. Like, you're hands-on with a lot of this. Like, I mean, you've learned how to do all these things, right?
Yeah. So, luckily for me, I've got a handful of guys here that are super talented and are in a way kind of like me. They can do pretty much everything. But that was one thing that I tried to set out to do when I was younger, is like, if I'm going to do this, I want to be able to do it all. Like, I want to be able to build a car ground up with just me if I had to. So, yeah. So, and then I ended up going to that Votech school, and luckily they had upholstery, they had custom paint, they had everything. And I went through it all, man. And so, yeah, now we figured out the suspension. I was able to do that. I was able to do the custom paint on it. And then the next thing, I'm about to leather the interior, do the seats. So, I can sit behind the sewing machine and do all that stuff. So I'm very, it took a lot of hard work. I mean, it's the one thing that I think the only thing that annoys me about anybody ever, I think, is when somebody goes, man, it must be nice, because to be able to learn how to do every single one of those things. And I won't say I'm the greatest at any one of them. I mean, I want to, but I figured out that I can do each one of those things. So if we need interior, we can do it. Metal fabrication, TIG welding. I mean, I've just tried to make sure that I could be good enough at each one of those that I could build a really nice trucker car.
Dude, well, I mean, let us give you 2 thumbs up, the old Siskel and Ebert, because, I mean, you definitely have honed the skills. I was thinking about you this past weekend. We were at Eastbound Get Down, and there was the silver one, right? There's not a lot of them out there, but we were sitting back, and I was joking with my buddy, and I said, I really like the headlights on it. I said, I think they're stock. And it made me think back to about 20 years ago when all the mini truckers, we started running clear lights. That was the big thing, and then we were getting pulled over and this and that. But it is kind of cool if you really think back to how the aftermarket does lead a little bit the OEMs, because, like, you look at the headlights on those, and to me they look good. They look very clear. And I'm looking at a photo now of your Maverick, and keep me honest, now granted, on yours, I think the way the grill is and whatnot, maybe there's guys out there that take those apart and all of that, but they're pretty cool looking overall, just from the OEM, it seems like.
Yeah, they're really clean. It's got a super clean look to it. I like the way they've done the whole front end in general on it. Once I was able to color match it and get it down, I was looking at it, I was like, man, it looks like a NASCAR or something. It's like, or a Charger. I actually did try, and it didn't work out. They didn't think they could do it. Oracle Lighting went through and did all the LEDs in my headlights, and we're doing the underglow with them. But I did try to get them to build me a set of clear lenses for the taillights. I'm like, man, I'm going back. I'm doing clear lenses. And, but they were like, I don't think we can get that accomplished. I was like, well, that's okay. They still look good.
They say we're
honest. I was trying.
Yeah, cool. Well, so, like, obviously, it's kind of refreshing to hear from you, like, when you talk about, well, like, SEMA didn't work out last year, right? We wish that it would, but, there's a lot of builders, a lot of guys in their garages and stuff building stuff, and it kind of just goes to show you that everyone can kind of be impacted, right? And obviously we're in a pandemic still, but I say all that, like, do you think, like, does an opportunity potentially present itself for you to maybe get it out there this year, or do you go, well, okay, good. So you're going to do some of the reveals and stuff like that on TV, and then by then you'll be able to have some potential placement out there this year.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got quite a few things lined up for it. MTX is working with us on the sound system. We're doing a ridiculous sound system on a car fix that we're about to film. And we're talking right now about doing it in their booth at SEMA. Brandon is going to shoot it for street trucks. So we've got that lined up to do that, which would be really cool. And then, we've got all the shows we're going to hit. We're going to do, I know for sure right now, Mini Truck and Nats and Battle in Bama we're doing. And, I wish so badly I could have got it into LST, because I was going to kind of debut it to everybody there. But I never could make it happen. I missed the registration. Then when they opened it up over this past weekend, I could not get the website to work, man. I was pulling my hair out. I'm like, I can't get it to work. So I missed the ball on that one, unfortunately.
Well, but if you want, I'll give you my registration if you want it, man.
No, man, no, I would not do that to you, man. But
I'm serious, man,
I,
dude. I'll give it to you, man. No problem. I even told Vic, and Vic was like, "Well, no." But seriously, I know we got a little bit more time. I talked to Radar last night, and he said, "Hey, they're kind of at the cutoff point, but if it's something I can do to help you out, bro, I'll gladly. It's no problem, man. I mean, I would love to see it there. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, man, and man, it's much appreciated, dude. I mean, you definitely do not have to do that though, but you have no idea. That means a lot.
Let's do it.
We were gonna, and my thing with LST was I've had so many people. I cannot tell you how many people write me and say, "Hey, man, is it going to be at Lone Star? Hey, is it going to be at Lone? Hey, is it going to be there?" And I'm like, I'm not making it. So just the amount of people that I've had ask me is what's kind of motivated me to like, let's get it there.
Yep. Well, I helped someone out this week, and what I would say is, like, we have one of the best. I mean, I got to thank Lonnie and Radar. We work closely with them, and we've got one of the best spots in the entire facility. I mean, it is like ground zero for the amount of spectators and people that cruise by and stuff. And if we can make it happen, which I know we can, I would say, hey, park it in our booth, man, and you would get a lot of traffic, dude. I'm just saying. So, and then of course,
that would be awesome, dude.
You're right there. You just crank it up if you do. What's funny is I was never a huge, like, I did when in my younger days, I like to cruise at shows. And then you kind of get to like, hey, just, turn it off, go get you a beer. But the cool thing is with Lone Star Throwdown is they've got that big area where you can kind of cruise through. So, a lot of people get to a point over those 3-4 days and they go, you know what, I want to go for a quick lap. Now, granted, it gets busy through there, as you know, but yeah, man, I'll definitely, we'll work it out. And if it's going to work out for you, I'm not putting any pressure on you, but if that's something that would help you, man, let us do that for you, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, I can make it happen for sure. As long as it's no imposition to you, dude. I'm all in. I'd love to get to come hang out anyway.
Yep. Well, we'll make that happen. We appreciate you coming on. Let's see. I wanted to ask you. So the Maverick obviously is one thing I don't know because I haven't. I guess I should have peeked inside the silver one there. When you talk about the stereo, right? When the Avalanche first came out, I don't know what it was. I didn't like the cladding, but I loved the Avalanche concept. I loved that it had that. It didn't have a roll down back window, but you could pop it, and then of course you had that lower section, which was kind of cool. On these, do you almost have like the old school walkthrough to a certain extent? We'll call it a blow through. Is that what this truck will end up with, or how does the stereo? How are you envisioning it coming together?
Yeah, so basically right now, Joey at Outlaw Garage in Tennessee, he's right down the street. He's a good friend of mine, and he has a killer stereo shop. And basically, he does a lot of high-end stuff. So I reached out to him because I knew with the paint and everything, we just didn't have time to make it happen. I knew that with MTX, we were going to do 612s. We've got 4 amps, and it's like, all right, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we got to do a blow-through, man. And he was like, hell yeah, this is because he was doing the systems back in the day when it was blow-through. So basically, we've got a box built that takes up almost the entire bed, minus the 3 batteries that's going to sit behind it because it's going to take 3 more batteries to power this sound system. So what we're going to do is he's got the box tuned, everything. He's got a big port in the front. So basically, we're going to cut out a section of the cab that's, roughly a few feet wide and like 12 inches tall. It's nothing too crazy, but the way that we've got it tuned and set up, it should be perfect for it. There's no room really, if you get one of these, there's no room really in the cab for anything other than under the seat. It's pretty deep. So what we ended up doing under the seat is we've got 4 MTX amps, and they're all going to be mounted under the rear seat. We've got that covered and paneled. Man, it just, I cannot wait for everybody to see just the system. It's so killer. We've plexiglassed the top like back in the day. We've etched our logos into the top. The box is all neon lit. It's splatter painted. It is kick ass.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, it just, some of the stuff you're talking about, it just has like the hairs on my neck. They're just like, it's that old school vibe with, the modern awesome technology that all these stereo companies, like you said, MTX, that they're producing. And what's cool is I have an MTX amp that I've had in like a couple of vehicles, and I've had this thing over 20 years. And only one time back in the day, I had to send it into them, and it was like a $50 fee to have them service it. And that thing has just kept on keeping on. So it's great to know that car stereo is still really is a big thing, right? And I'm anxious to see how it all kind of fits together, via watching CarFix on MotorTrend, dude. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And this thing is, dude, it's going to beat. Like, I cannot wait just for people to sit in it. Like, because the thing about when we do this on the show, the big thing, that I'm talking to the producer, trying to figure this out, you can't really translate sound, through television. So when it's beating, man, and it's like really hitting those notes, nobody at home's really going to hear that. So, of course, what we're going to try to do is see if we can float a towel in the cab, or get somebody in there with long hair and let it just go crazy and do all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to translate what this thing's actually doing, because each amp, I think, was roughly 1,500 watts, and we plan to basically push them to the max. So it should be pretty killer.
Yeah, what I envision when you're saying that is, in the MotorTrend family, you've got the Bitchin' Rides, right? Can Dig It. And there's that one clip in the opening deal where Dave Kindig, I think that they're it's the exhaust or it's the motor or something, and he's got that hit that wow, like, oh my god, on his face, like, the old the old saying is, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And every time I see that, I'm like, dude, like, you can see like how excited he is. So that's
you're definitely gonna see that on my face too, no doubt.
Yeah, I could see the energy. Well, I tell you what, man, it's awesome. I would encourage people, we said this before when we had Body Drop on, he's part of Monster Garage. Go out and try out MotorTrend, the app, and, being able to view. I know for me on Apple TV, it's like $5 a month, and you get access to all of that stuff. You can go back. I know some of my favorite shows, as I said, of course, CarFix, and then also Garage Squad and some of the Bitch and Ride stuff. That really, if you would have thought 20 years ago when you first, were watching, 25 plus years ago when we were watching TV on Sunday mornings, if there would be a whole network dedicated to like hot rodding, dude, I would have never thought it'd be true, Jeremy.
And like you just said, I believe it is. It's like $5 a month. I mean, everything from Bitch and Rides to us to everybody on MotorTrend. I mean, you can watch it at your fingertips anytime you want. Like, I'm not huge on technology. I'm the same way you are. I spend way too much time on my phone, but technology is really awesome.
Yeah, it is in a lot of ways if you use it for the good. And what I think of is, it's one less, many of you go to, your favorite coffee place and it's like $8 for a large latte, venti, this, that. I can't even say all that stuff. But it's, so you go out there and you're supporting, and I know, the other show that has really just blown up is, like the Roadkill, right? And stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to have all of that at your fingertips. And again, with Apple TV, for me, many of you guys got the Rokus and all that, just go out there and search. And I think oftentimes there's a 7, sometimes a 30-day free window, try it out, get hooked, and then boom, it gives you a lot more stuff to check out. But,
and hey, you guys are going to come cruise with me at the end of the show, right?
Oh, dude, you know how we are, man. We're excited. Very soon, we're going to have some cruising, and I kind of hinted that could be some stuff that you might get to see on the big TV. So we're certainly excited to maybe get some minis back in the limelight, of course, on TV.
Yeah, man, it couldn't make me happier to put some minis on TV and just get a shot of us cruising down the street together with the new Maverick. Your guys' rides, man, it's going to be badass.
Yeah, our friend Scott with the V8 Mazda, hearing some rumblings there. Joel Cruikshank obviously helping pull the puppet strings, great guy. And I know some different guys, so thank you for the opportunity. I just want to kind of say, dude, we got a chance to talk about, a little bit of your early beginnings and how some of the stuff that helped mold you on who you are, Jeremy. And obviously the TV show was cool to kind of pick your brain a little bit there on some of the scheduling and production side of the house. But, the Maverick to me really got my ears going. But anything else you want to plug or anything else you want to share? Definitely give a shout out to your family, man. You got the 4 kids and the wife, man.
Yeah, man, 4 kids and a wife. And we all know I could not do that without any of them and her support, like especially my wife. She actually, we've got 20 builds going here at the shop, handful of guys that work for us. Yeah, it's a lot going on here. She basically runs this entire thing. Like, it allows me to still, I walk in every day and I go to building cars. I'm not sitting there invoicing customers. I'm not on the phone with them. I'm not haggling with vendors. I'm not doing, like, she mans it all, dude. So, and the good thing about her is she's kind of a Mopar nut, especially since we build a lot of these old muscle cars. So she has a 72 CUDA that is all original and that she did a lot of the work on, actually. Like, she did a lot of the blocking on the primer, getting it straight for paint. Like, so she's got it going on. And Yeah. So she is the backbone of this place. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be out here playing with this truck, this Maverick. And, I still get a little bit of like a slap on the back of the head and like, you realize as many hours as you put into this Maverick, we didn't make any money that month.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, man, it's awesome. And then, those like, billet specialties, for the wheels, man, those things turned out so kick-ass. Those 69s look great on there. Yep. Glazerit, man. I swapped to Glazerit here a few years ago for all the paint stuff. We were with another company for a long time. And if you're a painter out there, I'm telling you right now, like this stuff is unbelievable. We use the 55 line polyester base coats, and I've never seen anything cover like this or slick out like it does. So those are two big ones. Apex Leather, they've sent all the leather that go into the truck so we can get the seats covered soon. So yeah, and Oracle Lighting, those guys, man. So everybody that hopped on board with the Maverick, I've been it's been crazy with the Maverick because I'm overwhelmed with how much support this thing has gotten. We build a lot of high-end cars, and we do get magazine stuff, and maybe we'll do SEMA stuff, and you'll get some companies on board, and a lot of times you got to kind of work that. You become a sales guy. This Maverick, I've literally had people calling us to be on it. Yeah, so it's really crazy with mini trucking, how that's all playing out. Like I told somebody the other day, they were in here, and I think it was the guy that said, like, dude, why'd you do this? I'm like, go try to get into a mini trucking show. Like, go try to get in. Like, you can't even get in them.
Right.
Like we go to all these huge hot rod shows. I've never once went to register and they've been like, sorry, it's full. Like that never happens.
Yeah, they're like money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then it's full, and then the mini trucking ones, it's like you can't even get in them, man. It's just crazy.
Right. Yeah, so. We got to thank the C10 guys too for helping kind of there too. But I got to talk to Jason Bell, the big homie, Mini Natch. He's a big supporter, big listener. We work well with those guys, and we'll see what we can do over there. I've got a potential one that we could transfer, so we're going to keep in contact with you. Glazerit, I did Google it for any of the listeners, as Jeremy plugged. It's Glasurit. So definitely check out. That's one thing I've learned a lot from guests. They turn us on to a lot of different things, products, so on and so forth. So my ears always perk up and look into it if nothing else, man. So, but yeah, tip of the cap to your awesome kids and your wife for holding it down there, and the grueling schedule that you have. But again, you help keep a lot of us motivated, and it's kind of cool to put a conversation together outside of the TV show that we enjoy watching so much. So I can't wait to link up here with you soon, and then we'll work back with Lonnie and Radar and make all that happen, dude. But thank you so much, Jeremy. Any last word, man?
Man, appreciate you letting me come on. This is a ton of fun, dude. I was super excited about it. Hopefully we can do it again. And yeah, man, I'm ready to hit some shows with you.
Yeah, Real Deal Holyfield. Thanks to, again, Tim from NC Florida for linking us up. Big ups to Crookshank for helping with what's coming up, and we'll keep in contact with you, Jeremy.
Cool, man. Sounds good. Thanks, dude.
We out you.